What is up, people of the internet? It is Pastor Alex back at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the bottomless pit, or the abyss that is found in Revelation. So we're going to look at the context and early beliefs of that. So it's going to start in Revelation chapter 9, verses 1 through 2. It says, "A star falls from heaven and is given the key to the bottomless pit. Smoke arises like a great furnace." And it continues in verse 11. It says, "The locusts from the pit have a king, Abaddon in Hebrew, Apollyon in Greek, meaning destroyer." Revelation 11 verse 7 says, "The beast that rises from the bottomless pit makes war on the two witnesses." In Revelation 17 verse 8 it says, "The beast was and is not and is about to rise from the bottomless pit." Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 through 3 says, "An angel binds Satan and throws him into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years." So let's look at the historical and cultural context, like the word meaning specifically. So the Greek term abyssus literally means without bottom or unfathomable, unfathomable depth, often used to describe a chaotic, watery deep, underworld prison, or place of demonic confinement. So in the ancient worldviews, let's look at that. So Jewish apocalyptic thought, especially like First Enoch, the Jubilees, these are deuterocanonical or apocryphal texts. The abyss was a place of punishment for rebellious angels. Think about Genesis 6, where it says sons of God. Considered a holding place, the bottomless pit was considered a holding place of evil spirits awaiting final judgment. In the Greco-Roman mythology, there was similar concepts existed, such as Tartarus, a deep pit used to imprison titans and evil spirits, again, part of their mythology. So there was imagery, like the Babylonian chaos imagery, deep waters, Genesis 1, verse 2, the Tehom link to chaos, Leviathan, showing cultural continuity in like abyss imagery. So during the Babylonian exile, that heavily influenced them. Then we come to the first century Christian understanding. Early Christians likely understood the abyss as a spiritual prison for demonic forces. Think about Luke chapter 8, verse 31. It says it talks about demons begging Jesus not to send them into the abyss. So they did understand it as something. They thought of it as a realm of chaos and rebellion, contrasted with like the order of God's kingdom. So it was a temporary holding place before final judgment. The term is I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Eschatological judgment. It's possibly connected to Rome, right? So especially in apocalyptic symbolism, beasts from the pit, Roman Empire. So that is some imagery that scholars tend to focus on a little bit. But in Revelation, there is a lot of symbolism there, right? So there is the meaning of the bottomless pit could be a domain of demonic origin and chaos. Smoke/darkness is spiritual deception or judgment. Then you've got the locusts, right? In Revelation 9, agents of spiritual torment, not physical bugs. You have beasts rising from the bottomless pit. Could be representative of oppression, empire, power, likely Rome, ancient Rome, that is empowered by the demonic. Satan bound in Revelation 20, their temporary restraint before final defeat. So it was binding of Satan, or Hasatan, the enemy. So what are the takeaways here, right? The abyss represents spiritual oppression to God, not a literal hole in the earth. That's a thought. It is a place of containment for evil until God's appointed time is another thought. it could reflect early Christian. It does reflect early Christian hope in ultimate divine justice. Like evil is allowed for a time, but God is still in control. And I want to invite you all to go into some deeper texts, deeper study. I mentioned about the apocryphal texts or deuterocanonical texts. Amazing insight to see what the culture surrounding time periods saw and how they interpreted and grappled with aspects of the faith. First Enoch, chapter 10 and chapter 21, it talks about the abyss as a prison for fallen angels. Love Enoch. And then you've got Luke 8:31 that we mentioned before, demons being afraid of the abyss. Romans 10 verse 7 talks about who will descend into the abyss, referring to like Christ's resurrection. And then you've got Revelation 20, where I mentioned just earlier, where Satan or the enemy, the adversary, is bound in the abyss. So let's summarize everything we talked about, which was really quick. But the bottomless pit abyss in Revelation can be seen as a literal chasm, but some scholars do not see it as a literal chasm, but apocalyptic symbolism of chaos, evil, spiritual rebellion. Early Christians, though, that were steeped in Second Temple Jewish apocalyptic literature, apocalypsism, would have understood it as the holding place of demonic forces. So they would have seen it as a physical, real place, divinely restrained until the appointed time. Revelation uses the abyss to reinforce God's sovereignty, right? Even evil is under his control and will face judgment. So what schools of thought do you think? Do you think it is symbolism? Do you think it is a real place? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to leave a comment of any sort of theme that you would like us to go into study. And I hope to see you there in the next one. Bye.